Harris, the 23-year-old mother who dropped her three children off a pier in San Francisco Bay, has been charged with 3 counts of murder, and she's scheduled to be in court this morning. San Francisco District Attorney Kamala Harris joins us live from the city. Good morning, Kamala.
Good morning, Ross.
What is the purpose of this hearing this morning?
We're continuing to go to court, obviously. She'll be in court, as will my deputy district attorney, to talk about the next steps. Essentially, what we're going to be requesting is a sample of DNA from the defendant. We expect that the court will also review the bail, and that the case will be continued again for further hearings.
Now, has she already made a plea to these charges?
She has entered a plea of not guilty.
Yeah. Is she still in the hospital, or is she in jail now?
She is in the hospital.
Along with the 3 charges of murder, there's special circumstances here, right?
That is correct. And the special circumstance in this case is the multiple murders. So
that's how it applies here, multiple murders. And
correct.
That gives you the ability, if you so choose, to call for the death penalty.
That is correct. Special circumstances is a special allegation, basically saying that if there's a murder and certain other facts exist, such as multiple murders, then there should be an increased penalty, which would be life without possibility of parole or the death penalty.
Now, I know with you, is it fair to say it's a moral decision on your part on whether you go for the death penalty here?
Well, as you know, I've been very clear. I am opposed to the death penalty, but I also have, as any DA, be them a supporter or opposed to the death penalty, we have an ethical and legal obligation to review all the facts and the law before we make a decision, and I've done that in every case. I'll do that in this case.
At what point do you make that decision?
When we have significant facts, enough evidence. The case is still being investigated, as you probably know. You know that there's still 2 bodies somewhere in the bay, we think, and there's still a lot of work that needs to be done in terms of, as you know, figuring out what is her state of mind and her mental state of mind. So the facts are still coming in.
Do you have to find those 2 bodies to go through with a special circumstance?
Not necessarily, no. And in fact, there are a few cases that you can probably think of where we have prosecuted, as prosecutors, we have prosecuted homicide cases when no body has been found. So that is not a necessary fact to prosecute this case.
Do you expect this to be an insanity plea?
I don't know, Russ. I mean, Ross, you guys have been covering it. The press has been covering it. Certainly there's a lot of information the family and others have been offering to suggest that she has a compromised mental state and that her mental health is an issue. So I expect that there will be a review, a psychological review. I expect the defense will ask for that. And then we'll see what that produces before we can determine whether there would be a sufficient basis for them to, with credibility, ask for not guilty by reason of insanity.
From what I read, though, insanity defense in California is difficult.
It is. They would have to prove that she essentially did not appreciate the wrongfulness of her conduct, and that's a high burden.
She has been diagnosed as schizophrenic, correct?
That's what I hear from you. We don't have any psychological records.
I'm not sure. It's been said she was schizophrenic, and she stopped taking her medicine.
And that is exactly what has been said. But in terms of evidence, do we have, for example, a psychologist who, by court order, has reviewed her mental state to determine that she's schizophrenic? No. We don't have that in our case at this point. So but I'm sure that there will be information coming.
No psychologist has talked to her yet since she dropped her children off the pier?
Not that I'm aware of. Certainly none has been ordered by the court as of yet. But I expect that will happen.
Wouldn't it be pretty important to have that information soon after, because that's the closest time to determine what kind of psychological state she was in?
You're absolutely right. We have to, as part of any crime, show we call it the mens rea, which is the state of mind of a defendant. And if their mental health is at issue, if they are suffering from schizophrenia or any other mental illness, that is absolutely a relevant fact, and we should have that information, and we should have it sooner than later. But there is a process, and normally what happens in these kinds of cases is the defense attorney will request the court to order a psychological review, and then that'll be conducted.
So bottom line here, to get that insanity defense, she has to be shown that she did not know the difference between right and wrong.
That's essentially right.
If she was diagnosed as being schizophrenic and was supposed to be taking this medicine, and she stopped taking the medicine, where does that play into the possibility that she would not get an insanity defense?
The bottom line is we need to establish not why she did what she did in terms of taking her medication or not, if that was the case, but what was her state of mind at the time that she committed the act of do you know what she did, dropping these 3 children in the bay.
And I may be making a comparison here that is absolutely wrong, so just shut me off if I am. I remember years ago, there was a man who was epileptic. And he was coming across the Golden Gate Bridge, and he was supposed to be taking the medicine Dilantin. He had stopped taking the medicine. He had a seizure, went across the line, killed some people. She, if she was diagnosed as schizophrenic, stops taking her medicine, does that make her, you know, more criminally prosecutable, you might say?
The case you're referring to, if I recall correctly, and I don't know that I know this case specifically, but that type of case would be probably a vehicular manslaughter, where someone failed to do something that they had a duty to do, such as take medication before they get in a car, and as a result of their failure to perform that duty and be responsible, people were killed. This is a different case. This is a case where we know that she intentionally, clearly, dropped those children in the water, and what we have to determine is what her state of mind was at that time in terms of her appreciation of the wrongfulness of her conduct. It's a little different.
Yeah. What time is your hearing today?
We're in court at 9 o'clock this morning.
All right. Thank you, Kamala.
Thank you. Thank you. Take
Kamala
care.
Harris, the district attorney.